Hello, I'm Alex Camp, and I'll be presenting to you on how to conduct international business in Russia. And this is research based upon the book Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands, International Marketing by Terry Morrison and Wayne A. Conway. So, first off, to understand a little overview of Russia as a whole, their population is 138 million according to the 2011 estimate. So this is compared to the U.S.'s 311 million at that time. The median age there is 38 years old. Their GDP per capita is $15,900. This is US dollars as of 2010 data. Their capital is Moscow, and they are the largest country in the world, geography-wise. And then just a fun fact for you, as of 2011, Moscow had the most billionaires of any city in the world. So it might not be a bad place to do business. So this is Russia. As I mentioned, it is the biggest country, so it's huge. So all the way over here we have Moscow, their capital. And then actually right over here is Alaska. So it's so huge that it's actually close to the US, but just on the other side of the world. Something important to understand about Russia's geography and how it's affected their culture and their people that you're going to be dealing with when doing international business with them is that they are bordered by 14 different countries and 3 different oceans. So from the country's perspective, this is a lot of different borders and territories to protect, and a lot of different people that are on those borders that could be threats. Excuse me. And so this is one of the reasons that Russians don't normally trust non-Russians right away. So that's something important to remember. And then another thing, just to put things into perspective, if you were to type in Moscow and Providenia all the way up here in Google Maps, it actually would not even come up with driving directions because they are so far apart. They are over 4,000 miles apart from one end of the country to the other. So it really is enormous. So as for their history, this is another important thing that really shapes their people and their culture. So back when there was the Eastern Bloc, they produced all of their own goods. So they didn't have any foreign goods coming in. They did everything themselves. Due to that, there was no advertising. So Western advertising didn't come in until later. So the people were never used to being targeted by ads or by marketers. In 1991, there was the breakup of the USSR. And so after that was when those foreign goods really started to flood into Russia along with the advertising from Western nations. So that's one of the reasons that it's such a challenging market to advertise to, is because it is a fresh group of individuals and a fresh audience. And the consumers are also highly sophisticated and very hard to impress. So this is an infographic I found on Foursquare, and it's a really great travel guide in general, and also some good tips to know when you're traveling Russia in general and conducting business. Because as you can see, it has things like table manners, tipping, which is one of those really important but overlooked things. So it tells you how much to tip for a restaurant, for a cab, for a tour guide. It tells you what foods to try. It tells you what months to go, when it's most crowded, and then it also gives you some basic Russian. So to say hello is Здравствуйте. So it's a pretty difficult language, but it is seen as more respectful if you know at least the basics of hello, goodbye, please, thank you, you're welcome, yes, no. They'll respect you a lot more if you put in the effort to know at least those basic terms. And then it also says a few other fun facts that can help you make that quicker connection. Is that vodka is one of their biggest products that they create and that they're known for. So when you do drink vodka with them, it says only drink vodka straight, do not drink it over ice or with mixers, otherwise they will not respect you as well. And then also, once you're done, leave some in the glass, because an empty glass is seen as one that needs to be filled. So your waiter or waitress will just keep filling it. So that's a good pointer to take into consideration also when you're on business meetings at restaurants. And then they also love to talk about their music, culture, arts, so they take a lot of pride in those, so study up on those before you go on meetings as well so that you have some talking points. So next we'll talk about some things to avoid. So Some of the boorish behaviors, as the book called it, or Niekulturen, which really just means not cultured, are whistling. They don't like when you whistle, they think it's rude. Don't put your hands in your pocket. Don't sit with your legs spread or crossed because it is seen as disrespectful, and they should never see the sole of your shoe. So that is another thing that they don't like in Russia. And then also never sit with your arm over the back of a chair, which here that's just seen as casual and, relaxing, but they don't like that. They prefer that you be more proper. So some of their superstitions include when a bottle of vodka is empty, you put it on the floor. You shouldn't leave it on the table. We're not sure why, but just one of their superstitions. I thought these were fun to know. Another thing is don't sit at the corner of a table if you're single, otherwise you're cursed, of course. And then never shake hands through a doorway, so wait until you're fully in the room. They also think that that's something that could curse you in the future. So, on a more positive note, things to do: be on time, dress formally and conservatively, have good posture, as we mentioned, don't slouch or put your arm on the back of a chair, follow up with them, make a good first impression, they're really big on first impressions, stay at first class hotels, and wear designer suits. So before I mentioned that they're more proper and that they're not as laid back or easygoing as Americans may be, they really take a lot of their opinion out of their first impression of you, and they expect you to dress how they want you to view them. So you're expected to wear a designer suit, to have your hair perfectly done and trimmed, to wear designer shoes, to stay in the best hotels. So if you want to do business with them, then they expect you to be at your very, very best behavior and dress. And then another thing that's important to understand is you should stand about 1.5 feet apart. So that's pretty average. So, as per the title of the book, kiss, bow, or shake hands. In this society, you are to shake hands and make direct eye contact, state your name, and if you're a woman, you're expected to extend your hand to a man first and to initiate. And then if you're the same sex, they sometimes kiss both cheeks, but close friends only. So you wouldn't do this to someone that you just met. A few cultural notes to give you another leeway in your business would be, if exchanging business cards, it would be respectful to translate one side into Russian, just so that they can read it in their native tongue as well. And then another important thing to understand is that Russia can be dangerous, so register with your embassy before leaving. As with most traveling, you're supposed to do this, but especially in Russia, because according to the book, on page 158, it says, taking bribes and abusing power, referring to the Russian police force, are chronic problems in Russia. So they're still struggling with a few of these things. So it's important to register with your embassy just so that they know where you are at all times. And then another thing to understand is, as a leader, be strong, decisive, and predictable. This kind of goes along with the confidence that they expect you to have in your appearance, is they expect you as a leader to be very decisive and very sure of yourself. Otherwise, they're not going to trust you to do business with them if you're wishy-washy or can't make up your mind. So, 3 of the big tips that the chapter summarized for selling are that they believe in classic mercantilism. So they believe that resources are limited, they prefer that you highlight potential profits, and take a hard stand. As I mentioned, be very decisive and stick to what you are arguing, don't go back and forth. And then they also love new and emerging technologies and research, so they want you to impress them, not just with your look in your hotel rooms, but they want you to impress them with new and upcoming technologies, data, and research. And then they also love looking into new internet marketing opportunities. Yandex is the second largest internet site, other than, not including US sites, and right behind the Japanese site. And then they also view negotiating as a game of chess. So they view it as very strategic and that you should always be able to see the next move ahead. So they only close a deal once no more moves can be made, which is pretty intense. So if negotiating takes a long time, then that's because they still believe that there are moves to be made. And then my sources are International Business Times, Doing Business in Russia, and the book Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands, Sales and Marketing by Terry Morrison and Wayne A. Coway. And that's all. Thank you, thank you.